Good afternoon, Rick with Yachting International Radio's Yachting USA. I happen to be with Todd Solis. Todd, we got a very unique, interesting boat. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Love to hear more about what you've done. I understand this is a really collaborative project you've put together.
It is. So you're on board a 11.5 meter Oceancraft Marine offshore interceptor. It's a platform that we chose to use for a really unprecedented industry collaboration called Project Perfect Storm. We've brought together thus far about 23 leading companies in the maritime industry to collaborate with their engineering talent, their latest innovations, incorporating all of those into the design of this vessel with a primary purpose of giving back to the professional mariners, trying to create a platform that has reduced impacts, G-forces, improved shock mitigation capabilities, increased situational awareness and crew interoperability for the purpose of increased mission success and mission survivability.
So maybe you could give me a compare and contrast. We were talking a few minutes ago before we went on camera, and my connection to this type of boat was with one of my very best friends who was a Master Chief in the U.S. Navy. He was part of the Special Boats Group out of Little Creek. He was deployed, I think, 4 times during Operation Desert Storm. Has come out of the Navy, retired a number of years ago with compressed discs and some injuries from basically running these boats high speed offshore in missions he can't even talk about. Similar platform, but the technology has evolved.
Yeah, it certainly has. And really that your friend is one of the reasons that we're involved in this project. As I told you earlier, for me, it's very much a legacy project. It's a way to give back to this community with an improved platform that hopefully will reduce those injuries in the future. I myself was a small boat operator in the Brown Water Navy. I also have spinal problems. I've had 3 surgeries, as I told you before.
Yeah.
And this is very commonplace. And but back then, especially when your friend was in the service, there was no shock mitigation technology. Even the shock mitigation seat that I'm sitting in didn't exist back then.
Right.
And certainly the design elements that soften the ride that this boat has had yet to been invented.
So we want to talk about that. I mean, I was talking to Scott earlier. He was talking about some of the work he's done on the whole design, and we've got Seakeeper's technology for some of the ride performance items. We got the shock mitigation seats. What's going on here to make it a package that just creates so much improvement?
Yeah, well, we started with what was the stock boat, which was really a very good performance hull to begin with. And then we took the boat apart and we allowed Mr. Scott Porte to put his custom designed running surface on the bottom of this boat. And he did so in great secrecy, like it was a skunk's work project.
Because it probably was.
Yeah, it probably was. And then we retested the boat just so we had our baseline data from the stock boat. We had another set of data with the only change being made was Mr. Porte's running surface.
Right.
And then we, in the next phase, we added Scott's hydraulic transom bracket, and we retested the boat again. By the time we got to the 4th phase, we were incorporating technology from Seakeeper, specifically their Ride 750 system, which is 4 750 millimeter sized actuators.
Right.
This is their, what do they call it, vessel attitude control system.
Similar to an interceptor kind of technology, but different.
It is different, yeah. And to be honest, I had no experience with it prior to this boat.
Okay.
I knew about it, but I
Good.
hadn't operated a boat with it, and was just shocked at how much authority that system can exercise over the vessel in controlling both roll and pitch.
That's incredible. That's what
Yeah.
Scott was describing too. That the outer plates essentially deal with the roll, and the inner plates deal with the pitch, and it's happening so quick. You're not doing it yourself. It's automated.
It's so much faster than any operator could ever hope to respond to the sea conditions.
Right.
And that's what makes it so unique and so special.
Right. And of course, when you get that kind of control over the boat while it's running, it's taking not only stress off the boat, it's taking stress off the operator and passengers.
Oh, for sure. This is one of the easiest boats to operate It's ride and all the control surfaces. You feel like you're driving a Cadillac. There's actually very little operator input required. So we're not trimming the motors. We're not messing around much with the X dimension height of the bracket. It's pretty much set it and forget it. So it is a reduced burden and reduced fatigue on the operators.
What about navigating this boat? I understand there's some technology that's been integrated into this boat that makes running and operating, navigating this boat a little less stressful as well.
For sure. I mean, to start with just the basic design layout, you'll see it's twin consoles. So we have a very clear division of labor between the two consoles.
Right.
So it permits you to have a dedicated navigation officer, dedicated communication officer, dedicated engineer, and weapons safety officer. And that division of labor increases the overall situational awareness, reduces the burden on the coxswain, who can simply concentrate on driving the boat.
Right.
And all of that information is being fed to the coxswain as needed. And so when you have a crew that's really working well together and trains well together, it's just like a beautiful orchestra operating this boat, and you really have amazing situational awareness. Obviously, beyond the basic layout of having these two consoles and positions, there is a great deal of technology. So very basically, we have a FLIR M364 dual payload camera. So we have both color as well as thermal, and we can do a blend of those as well.
Wow.
We have aft-facing GC100 camera for visibility behind the boat if you're in a patrol formation or if you're backing up.
Right.
And then one of our project partners is Heffron Marine. Heffron has their IMAS system installed on the boat. This system is connected to a lot of sensors, inertial measuring units, accelerometers, et cetera, that are scattered about the boat. And every time this boat is started and moves, that information, which is not only vessel telemetry, but all the engine telemetry as well, is uploaded to the cloud. So the engineers have access to that data. They can compare it over time. They can compare it before and after a modification is done to see what the performance difference is. In addition to that, one of the most recent project partner additions is Sharrow Marine, Sharrow Propulsion.
Right.
So we're running 3 of the Sharrow propellers on this boat.
Those are this very unique.
Very unique, and I wish I was smart enough to understand them and explain them to you. I'm not. You have to talk to Greg Sharrow. I'm just not that smart.
But yeah, they look pretty cool.
They look cool, and
they actually work.
They actually work, yeah. And again, I don't understand how they work, but it's all good. As far as other technology, one of the project partners is David Clark Corporation. So we have their 9100 series wireless headset crew communication system. This system permits freedom of movement because you're not plugged in. It's fully integrated with your tactical radio, your Marine VHF radio, even your mobile phones. I can talk to Siri through the headset.
Wow.
I can take a phone call through the headset. If I embark a boarding team to an adjacent vessel, they go with their headsets, and I'm still communicating with them. So not only is it crew communication, those same people, that same boarding team, it's all voice activated, but if they use the PTT button on their belt station, now they can broadcast through my radio systems as needed.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it really is.
Wow.
It's a great system. And again, this is a system that increases not only situational awareness because of the crew interoperability, but also the functionality. You're not fatigued by the engine noise, the wind noise. You know, the professional mariners, they're out there a very long time.
Right.
They have long duration patrols, long duration missions.
Yep.
They don't get to pick and choose. The weather's too rough today, we're not going out.
No, that's not an option.
The old Coast Guard saying was, you have to go out, but you don't have to come back. These guys, they have to go out. So all the tools that we can provide for them help.
Right.
Obviously, probably one of the main tools in shock mitigation beyond the much softer ride provided by Scott Porte's running surface are the seats I'm sitting in. These are from Ullman Dynamics, many different types and styles of shock mitigation seating. But these, for sure, do the lion's share of the work in mitigating the impacts. Also, where you're standing, this is a Skydex
I noticed
shock mitigation
you could-
flooring
you could- you
system.
could see
so
the-
basically, it's like an hourglass honeycomb, maybe about an inch in thickness, and this compresses under load. Again, the idea is most of the crew's going to be seated in one of these seats, but if you're a machine gunner, you're going to be standing. It's better to have something underneath
Yeah,
of you
something that gives you a little
to give you a
give,
little
but-
little give. Yeah,
Well, you
exactly.
touched on something. I'm looking around this boat. I've been on the boat now for about 45 minutes, sitting and just taking it in. This looks like a multi-configurable platform. You can, depending on the mission, you can evolve this boat to almost whatever you want.
Yeah, well, certainly, and all of the boats that we build at Ocean Craft Marine are inherently have some mission modularity to them. And this is very easily accomplished by simply mounting everything to these deck tracks you see.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So if I want to take this row of seats out and instead put in a dive bottle holder, let's say we're supporting dive ops or
Yep.
a rescue or recovery operation.
Right.
Similarly, a lot of open deck space, a lot of accoutrements. If you know, in a variant that would be a fire suppression vessel, you could bring on a portable fire pump. And again, it would fit right into the same deck tracks, et cetera. So you're right, there is a lot of versatility in it.
Well thought through, well engineered. It's an incredible boat. I'm truly impressed by what I see here. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, Todd, I thank you for having us on board. Understand there's a sea trial coming up, and there's the opportunity this boat's going to get a little bit wet, and or maybe it's not going to get
It's
wet.
not going to get wet. It's not going to get wet, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Before I forget, I thank you very much for your service. It's something I never try to let go of. It's so important.
Understood.
Fantastic.
All right.
Fantastic.
Thanks, man.
Thanks
Thanks.
for joining us
Yeah.
today. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Be well.
Yeah.
And until the next time, I'm out of here.